and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. Today I want to go into timing because it's so critical. When you play a piece, you have to know how long you hold each note, and when you change to another note, and what the sharps are, and what the flats are, and how fast it goes, or how slow it goes. And all of this is a part of timing. Even the tempo, which is timing, it's very critical to know how to do that and how to do it right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you a chart on some of the timing, and then I will go on from there. Now I'm going to do a little experiment today. I understand that it is difficult to read music on a television screen. I've noticed it myself, and it's nobody's fault. It's just the nature of music. The more notes you have on the screen, the smaller they have to get to show them, and so forth. So what I've decided to do to make things easier to see is I'm going to make the staff bigger. It's still going to be in black and white. And so the staff will be bigger, the notes will be larger, and I'm going to put some of the notes in color. And I think that may add enough contrast to help you see the notes more easily on the television screen. And I've been thinking about doing that for quite a while, so now I've decided to try it. So some of the older music that I have that I may use, it will be the same as always. And most of the time when you get music, it's always in black and white. People don't publish music in color. But for the newer music, I'm going to try to do it. As long as it's not long and extensive, I'm going to try to do the notes in color and larger, and we'll see how it works. And so what I'd like to have you do is email me here at the station, Cheshire, music@cheshire.org, and then I will get it. And just let me know if it's working for you, because if it's not, then there's no sense in my continuing it. I should try something else instead. But if it is helping, I need to know that too. So if you want to email me and let me know if it's helping you to read the notes on the screen, then I would be appreciative of that. So at any rate, let me start with some of the basics here. I've gone over this before. It's time for me to go over it again, and I'm looking at the monitor trying to see if I see it better, because it's right beside me, so for me it's not a problem, but I want to know that you're able to see it. Okay, so I did a kind of a purplish pink. This is a whole note. It's clear and it's round. It's not colored in. And we're going to assume that we're talking about 4/4 time. In other words, 4 beats to a measure, a quarter note getting 1 beat. Or 3/4 time, 3 beats to a measure, a quarter note still getting 1 beat. So here's your whole note. This would be worth 4 beats. It's whole. Half notes. If you split it in half, you have half notes, and each one of those is worth 2 beats, and it's clear, but there's a stem on it. This is a stem. Any line that you can't get on music is called a stem. Then if you split those in half, you get 4 quarter notes. The quarter notes is 1 to a beat. These together make 4 beats in all. These are colored in, and they all have stems. 2 of these make 4 beats because each one is worth 2 beats, and that makes 4 beats, but they're clear, but they do have a stem, and the whole, of course, has no stem and no flag. So when you take the quarter notes and you split the quarter notes in half, you get eighth notes, and these eighth notes can be written different ways, but they all have the body of the note, they all have the stem, and this line across is a flag. It's a flag for all of them. So these are all eighth notes, even though they're all together by that one line. Or we have 2 together, but that's a flag for both of them. Or you can do it individually, and each one has its own individual flag. So body, stem, flag. Body, stem, flag. Now those are eighth notes, and it takes 8 of them to make a beat. So if you're counting it, if you're counting the quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're counting the eighths, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now if you split the eighths, you get sixteenths. Now sixteenths have 2 flags. These 2 lines here represent the 2 flags for all of the 16th notes. You can write the notes upside down or whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as it has those 2 lines on it, it's a 16th note. And so the way that you would count it, 4/16 is equal to a beat. So this is 1 beat, the 2nd beat, the 3rd beat, even though they're separated, but they're still 16th notes, that's the 3rd beat, and the 4th beat. And you would count them, the simplest way to count them is like 1 a tizzer, 2 a tizzer, 3 a tizzer, 4 a tizzer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. You can count it in any way, but you have to understand that that 4 of them makes for 1 beat. So we're talking about 4, 4 timing, 4 beats to the measure, and each note has a body, and except for the whole note, they all have a stem, and some of them have flags, 1 flag or 2 flag, depending upon whether they're 8th or 16th notes. Now, there is such a thing as 36 notes and 64th notes, and you add more stems. You add more flags for that. But we're not going to be doing that in here. The 16th is as high as we're going to get for the music that I'm writing and for you to learn. No need to get into 36 and 64th notes, but I just want you to know that they do exist. So I'm turning a couple of pages here. And what I have is a chart really, but it's 2 pages. We'll be using both of those pages. We'll get that set up. And I want to show you on one side and how it appears on staff paper. On the other side, thank you, that's very good. So if you look at the rhythms, what I'm going to go into today, the dotted, quarter, and eighth. And if you write it on the staff like this, dotted, quarter, and eighth, dotted, quarter, and eighth. The way that you count that is interesting because you've got a full quarter note and a dot. The dot is equal to an eighth note. So you're holding that quarter note, a dot, and an eighth together. So that makes it a little bit longer. And then, of course, if you take 1/8, that means there's 1/8 left. You play that separately. So let me go over this again. A dotted quarter and an eighth. The quarter is 1 beat, and you add the eighth to it because you add half. When you have a dot beside a note, it's worth half as much as it would be originally, and since an eighth note is half of a quarter, you add an eighth to it. So this is really the equivalent of 3/8, and then 1/8 is left, and you just play that separately. So if you're playing it, and I'm just going to take out an instrument here to show you, if you were doing just simple eighth notes, it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? When you get to the dotted, quarter, and eighth, the rhythm goes like this. It's not hard to play. It's just a little bit longer, and then the eighth that you didn't use follows it. So that's the way that you play it. A lot of music is written like this, so it's a very common pattern. Now, you can also get the dotted eighth and 16th. And a dotted eighth and a 16th is 1 beat. And the way that you get that is that here you have your dotted eighth, and the eighth, as you know, with the dot, you split the eighth and you get a 16th. So you get an extra 16th attached to that, and there's a 16th left, and there it is over here. And this is totally 1 beat. And it gives you kind of, I call it like a galloping kind of sound. It's almost like if you can imagine a horse galloping. The dotted quarter and an eighth is, but you're going to have it quicker if you're doing the dotted eighth and 16th. And a lot of music is written like that as well. Just remember that that is 1 whole beat. And then another pattern that you can get into are the triplets, and we've gone over that, 3 notes to a beat. So if I'm counting, I may as well just hold this. If I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm playing triplets, I'm going to have 3 notes to each beat. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I'm doing 3 of tongue notes to each beat. So you don't have to, that's always going to be 3, and you're going to find that you're going to have a 3 on top, or you're going to have a curve and a 3 on top. It's the same thing, they're going to be triplets. Now, one thing that I have not mentioned to you before is the next one, and I want to kind of go into it, and later on I'm going to be playing a song. It's called 3 on 2. I've never mentioned it. I don't think in all the years I've been on the air that I've ever mentioned 3 on 2. You don't see it an awful lot, but you do see it some. And what you have is 4/4 time. And with a 4/4 time, you're supposed to have 4 beats to the measure. Well, here would be 1 beat with a quarter note. Here would be the second beat with another quarter note. If this was a triplet, notice there's no 3 on top. If it was a triplet, that would be the third beat, and you would be 1 beat short. You would be 1 note short. You'd have the 4 beats, but 1 beat would not have a note attached to it. So what you do is you take these 3 beats. They're also written almost like they're triplets, and they're written as eighth notes, just like regular triplets are, but you extend each note a little bit longer and make them fill out 2 beats. So it would be, it's kind of hard to demonstrate. I will be playing a song that does demonstrate it, but where if you were using this as triplets, you would be playing but that would be too short because you would still have 1 beat that doesn't have a note. So you ease it and make each note a little bit longer so it covers 2 beats, even though technically it doesn't, but you just stretch it so that it does. So you try to make it as even as you can. You may not be able to make it perfectly even, but you make it so that 3 beats, that 3 notes, covers 2 beats instead of 1 beat like a triplet would. That's called 3 on 2. And you do see it in music, and I wanted to bring it out because I want to show it to you more. I haven't talked about it before, but I want to show it to you. So 1 beat, 2 beats, and this becomes 3 and 4 beats, even though there's only 3 notes here, and normally that would be a triplet, and it would be 1 beat. But because you have 2 beats to fill, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 kind of fills the rest of the 2 beats, and you get the whole measure filled out. Now, you just kind of have to slide it in. There's no mathematical thing you could say, well, it's so much longer than that, or it's so much shorter than that. There's no way to do it. You just kind of feel your way into it, and you kind of slide it in. Now, another thing I haven't talked about, the 1/8 and 2/16. And when you get a pattern like that, remember 2/16 is equal to an 1/8. If you played 2 8s, it's 1 and 2 n. So what you're doing is you're playing 2/16. You're breaking out the second 1/8 and making 2/16 of it. And so it would sound something like this. Because what I'm doing is I'm playing an 1/8 note and I'm playing the 2/16. Now also you can reverse that and you can get your 2/16 and an 1/8, and you just make sure these are the shorter ones and this is the longer one. And you see that a lot in music too. So you would be going, the first one, the 1/8 plus the 2/16. And the second one, it's like reversed. Now, these are not hard patterns to remember. It's a little difficult to explain the dotted 1/8 and 16th mathematically. It's a little difficult to explain it. But I have explained it numerous times, and I'll probably end up by doing it again. But you can understand when you get those basic rhythms. Now, the part of the rhythms is the fact that you have the whole note. You divide it into a half note, 2 half notes. You divide that into 4 quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16/16 notes. That's a part of your rhythm too. It's all a part of your rhythm. But music is composed of lots of different rhythms at lots of different times, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, depending upon what the music is. And when you get this so you understand it when you see it, like this is a dotted quarter in the eighth. And I have it down a couple of times. This is a dotted eighth and the 16th. Each one is one beat, so I've got 2 beats here. Then you have your triplets. You get 3 notes to a beat, but you have the number 3 on top. Sometimes you have a little curve over it, like a slur mark, and 3 on top. Those are always going to be triplets for 3 notes to a beat. Then you have your 3 on 2, where you have 1 and 2 beats, and then the other notes, which are not triplets, although they look like them, you slide it in and extend the note a little bit longer, so this covers 2 beats instead of 1 beat. And I have that down here. Then you have the 8th and the 16th notes, and then you have the 16th notes and the 8th notes. Those are some of what I consider to be the basic patterns for rhythm. And any music's going to have it, so you need to know what they are. You need to know how to play them. It's not that they're hard. It's just when you see them, you have to recognize what they are and fit it into whatever the beat pattern is for the note, for the music that you're playing. You know, it may be 3/4 time, it may be 2/2 time, it might be 6/8 time, but you need to be able to kind of fit it in with whatever time signature that you have. So anyway, I'm going to, for now, take this down and I'm going to play some music, which I have over here. And what we're going to see is your music is going to be a little different than mine. This is what you're going to see, because yours is in color. And we'll see how that goes. The notes are larger, the staff is larger, and I'm going to read it like the regular way that I do. I don't need to have, I'm close to the music, so I have it written just the way that normally you would. Now, this is a song, and I'm going to show you triplets. It's a song to designate triplets. And where are you going to see the triplets? They're marked all over the place. Here's your time, here's your treble clef. This is your 4/4 time signature. This is 2 beat rest. You count your rest exactly the same as you count your notes. So this, because it's popping up from the 3rd staff line, then that's going to be a 2 beat rest. And then this one right here is a 1 beat rest. 1, 2, 3. And this is going to be triplets. Right here is going to be triplets. You've got 3 notes, but they've got the 3 on top. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 beats. Okay, and then when I play it, it's hard for me to see it from here, but so I'll look at it from my copy. Every so often, the whole song is based upon triplets. And when I get down here, I do the song again, or part of it. I haven't done the whole thing. And I do it in 4/16. And 16th notes, there are 4 to a beat. So instead of the 3 notes like you get up here, you get the 4 notes like you get down here. And you don't have to put a 4 on top. When you see the 16ths, you know that there are 4 to a beat. I mean, that's just traditional. So let me try the top part. It is a song that I wrote. Actually, I wrote it last night. And just so I can show you how the triplets sound and how to tongue them. And remember, to play music, you've got to learn how to tongue. There's just no excuse not to. You really need to do that. And we've gone over that, and I'll go over it again. So when I count out this music, I'm going to count. You're not going to hear me. 1, 2, 3, and then I stop. That's also called an introduction. Any notes that you have before the main note of the body of the piece can be called the introduction. So I'm not going to play it too fast to begin with. I may play it faster later on. So this is how it goes. That's the whole song. And the reason I want to write a song to it is that you learn it faster, you remember it better, it's much more fun to play. I mean, I could say play 3 notes up the scale. How boring is that? But it does show you need to tongue, because you can't play any fast notes without tonguing. So let me try it again. I'm going to do it hopefully a little bit faster. Try to remember as much as you can and try to follow along as I'm playing it, and see if you can, when I start playing it, I'll be right there, right at the beginning, and see if you can follow along what I'm doing. The notes are larger and they're in color. And I can see now the green, I think, works better than what the rose color is, but that's just my impression looking at the monitor. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Rick. So I'm going to play that, and just follow along with me if you can. So that's an actual song, and it's all triplets. Whenever I did this, those were all triplets, 3 notes, 1 beat, 3 notes, and I did it in a song form. Now I'm going to go down to this on the bottom, and I'm going to do it fast because I've only got 5 minutes left. I thought I was going to get more done. So I'm going to do the bottom, and they're all going to be 4 beats. They're going to be 16th notes instead. So if you follow, and I didn't do the whole song in it. I may play the whole song in it, but I only had room for a couple of lines, but just enough so you get a chance to see it. So let me start that now. That's the difference between the triplet or the 16th note. And remember, you have to learn how to tongue. Now, we're out of time, so I'm not going to be able to say much about tonguing, but that gives you a chance to see the triplets in a song and the 16th notes in a song. And I think that may be one of the best ways to teach you about rhythm and about timing, is to show you how to do it by writing a song about it. So I will let you go for now, and we will continue this next time. Please join me then.